My guest today is David Pearson. He works as an optimization engineer for a cardboard manufacturer. He's also a 33-year-old who enjoys relaxing with his family, spending time outdoors, and playing video games. He values knowledge and enjoys being someone who has answers when problems come up. He's also one of my best friends. David, welcome to Clear Enough. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, Drew. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you being willing to come visit with us and share your perspective. So, quick heads up for the audience. We start with a couple of anchor questions that I send to every guest ahead of time so they have some time to think about and prepare if they want to. And then we switched up to wildcard prompts chosen at random. I have a list of 60 questions and I use a random number generator to pick random numbers. And that's how we pick the rest of the questions for the interview. Let's get into it. All right, David. I like to start with this one because we've all carried some weird ideas that didn't age very well. What's something that you used to believe about work or success that you just don't believe anymore?
I enjoyed this question. It had me thinking quite a bit about kind of the way I've viewed work throughout kind of my career. I've had not a very traditional journey to where I am right now. And so for a long time, I had it in my head that it would get like, as soon as I get past this milestone, everything will just be easier after this next hill. And then after that, then it all works out after that. And that's something that I've continually moved. I think I've always almost subconsciously, without thinking about it, put the next hill in front of myself, where it's like, yeah, but really I made it past that first barrier, but now I'm here and it's not easier. So it must be just this one more thing that I need to do. And it just, it keeps going. And so I think something I don't believe anymore is I don't believe that it's going to get easier. I think that it will be something that I need to work on and kind of struggle with. But the kind of the positive to that is I don't think it's going to get harder either, because as I have scaled up in kind of the type of work that I do, I don't find that I have to use more effort to do that work. It's all kind of just the same thing. And so I have found throughout my career that very naturally my aptitude has met the workload that I have. And so I just I don't think that there's going to be really, it gets easier. Maybe when I retire, but we'll set that one all the way out at the end.
Sure.
As another mirage of a hill.
You're right. That comes with different challenges.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to people who are high achievers, people who hold themselves up to a certain standard, people who, like you and me, that you don't feel like you're ever done, I think that we're the ones that move the goalposts. Like, I don't think anybody else is moving the goalpost for me very frequently.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've had a boss who they'll just, absolutely shift the expectations. But I feel like 99% of the time that I feel inadequate or that I feel like I'm not progressing the way that I want to, it's about me and me changing the rules and shifting the goalposts. Because even with me describing it, it was me not feeling like I'm doing what I want to do. And that's all about me and so much less about the actual expectations. And we need to try to figure out how to unpack some of that and say, okay, what are the actual expectations? Have I met them? And then you can feel great about anything beyond that instead of feeling so hard on yourself for all the ways that you're deficient in goals that you made up and didn't run by anybody else.
Yep, I definitely agree with that. I am sure that it's me that is moving these goalposts for myself. I don't think there's other people who are saying you're not doing good enough. I have quite a bit of support in my life, like professionally and personally. It's not something that is lacking. And so it's just myself saying, I want to do more, but it always turns out to be in a way where it's like, oh, I thought this would be where I could not have to do more.
Yeah, for sure. So another thing that I ask everyone on the show is about imposter syndrome. When was the last time that you felt like a fraud or imposter, and what did you do about it?
I also really enjoyed this question. I don't typically struggle with imposter syndrome. It's not one of my bigger challenges, but I do feel like, I do
For those
feel
that are
like
listening, I did like a twirl in the air to make fun of him because I struggle with that so much. So that's nice. I appreciate other people who don't, but
I do think it hits me in kind of subtle ways is what happens to me. I'll feel mismatched to a particular challenge. And until I start on something, that's where it really gets me. And so the way that I combat that is really just to focus on it and to say this, like I'm feeling inadequate, but that's not because I am inadequate. It's just how I'm feeling. And so it's not an accurate reflection of the reality that I'm in. And so by focusing on that, I'm able to take a first step and start doing something. That is a tactic that I used commonly while I was doing my degree. Is like I would always like get stuck at the very beginning of a homework assignment or of a project or something. But as soon as I started it, it would start to flow. And then before I knew it, I was like, oh, I can do this. I do understand it. This is something that's possible. And so that's usually how I handle that, is just trying to start. But the insidious part of that is when I don't recognize it, then things can go for quite a while without being addressed because I'm just saying, oh, I'm not aware, or I'm not addressing the fact that I'm not ready to do this or not wanting to do this. And so that's
if I don't think about it, it's not real, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the core tenets of Clear Enough is the idea that, at some point you don't have to know everything. You don't even have to believe you can do it. You just have to decide on what the next right step is and then do that and get started. And once you're started, you have that forward momentum, but it's so hard that potential energy, it just sits there waiting for you to take action. And then as soon as the action's taken, you drop off the cliff and now you got nothing but kinetic energy, and that's where progress happens. But it's so hard to go, and fight that inertia and start moving when that little voice in your head is saying, but what if I can't do this? What if I don't know how? What if I end up trying my best and I do a bad job? And then you go, no, I'm going to start because I know what the first step is, and then I'll figure out the second step next. I don't have to know all 10 steps now.
Yeah. When I was listening to the first episode of your podcast, I did have like 2 or 3 things, and they were all pretty small, not huge, no like giant projects, just things that I was ignoring that immediately jumped out to me when you asked what you were not doing because you're not ready. And so that was super helpful just to like draw attention. It's like, oh yeah, I am feeling like I don't know what I'm doing here. And then I can address it and make a phone call that I was being scary.
Glad I could help. So let's switch gears and let's head into our wildcard questions. All right. The first one is, what's an odd food combination that you secretly love?
Odd food combination that I like. So I don't think I have any secrets about food. So I don't know that I'm secret. I don't think I'm hiding food combinations.
All right. Well, then what's your hot take about food?
I don't know if I have a really good one for this. I am drawing a complete blank on that one. I enjoy all types of food, and I really don't discriminate against types of food, and so that's all just good. I have a hard time not enjoying food.
I have a couple food preferences, but I don't really have any food that's like a no for me. But would I prefer a hamburger without tomatoes? Yeah, I would prefer a hamburger without tomatoes. But will I eat a hamburger with tomatoes? Sure, happy to eat a hamburger with tomatoes. So I have a few of those, but like, did you have feijoada in Brazil at any point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we had one ward that I was in that, for those of you that don't know, Brazil has a festival called Junina that celebrates the end of slavery in Brazil. And one of the foods that they eat at this festival is a food that they would feed to the slaves called feijoada. And it's like a bean stew that they would cook for weeks. And they would like throw some stuff in and let it boil all day. And then they'd throw some more stuff in and it would just boil for a week. And David, one of the festivals we went to, this little old lady had her feijoada and she was serving it to us. And she like dug around and she came out with a part of a cow's hoof and an eyeball that she put into my bowl and looked at me like she just gave me a gift, right? Like presented me the best bite. And I had to sit there and eat this cow hoof and cow eyeball like I was having a great time because this little lady was looking at me expecting me to have a great time. And then I came back to the States and I can eat anything. I don't love everything, but I will eat anything and have a great time doing it.
Don't think I had the opportunity to have feijoada with an eyeball. I think I missed that one. But the hoof for sure, and that was delicious. I love that. If I had more of that right now, I would eat it and be like, that's the best meal I've had in several weeks.
I love it. We're going to for my company, we're going to a churrascaria for a Brazilian barbecue, the ones where they cut the meat off of the stick at your table. We're going to one of those for our Christmas dinner. So it's 2 months out and everyone's already salivating about it.
Already excited for it. Yep. The type of barbecue where you don't leave until you can barely stand up because you've eaten so much.
And then we're ending the day early after lunch. So it'll be great.
Perfect day.
So let's transition to the next question. This one may be a little bit personal. So if I'm crossing any lines, just tell me and we'll skip it. What's a friendship that you lost for a dumb reason?
Friendship that I lost for a dumb reason. I had a coworker back when I worked in manufacturing. I was working on the line making carbon fiber. And I had a coworker who I thought we were really good friends. And I don't think he ever thought that we were really good friends. So I lost a friend and I don't think he realizes that this happened at all. So what happened is I have still a style of communication or friendship building. I don't know. I like to tease people and I like to kind of get reactions. And I was doing that pretty aggressively, I think, with him, and maybe coming off less as, hey, this is me being friendly, and more as you're just being a jerk. So he actually confronted me. It was, I swear, a couple of months into working with this guy, he confronted me and asked me, do you not like me or something? Really got pretty close to me. I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I thought we were good friends. And so I think I lost that opportunity maybe to have a friendship with him because I was not maybe aware of how I was coming across. And that's made me reconsider some of how I interact, especially with coworkers, where it's, you need to be more careful because you're with these people and you really can't, the way that situation was is you're just kind of stuck with maybe 4 or 5 people for 12 hours, 14 times a month. You got to know how to get along with these people without being too aggressive. And so I think that helped me realize where I was crossing lines in that relationship.
Yeah. No, I think one of the reasons why you and I get along is because I'm nearly impossible to offend. And you just poke and poke and poke, and I don't give a lot back. And it works for us.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't work for everybody, apparently.
But it works for us. And I think that's why we've been friends for 15 years.
Yeah. Didn't work for him.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. It didn't work for that guy you worked with. So this next question is a little bit random, but I like it. Did you ever show up to the wrong meeting or event?
Did I ever show up to the wrong meeting or event? I've walked in on several meetings where I knew I wasn't invited, and I just walked in because I wanted to be invited.
Okay. You gotta elaborate on that.
Yeah. So
why and for what?
Why is because I saw there were 3 or 4 people who are higher up than me at this company, and I want to make an impression. And it's I'm at the perfect time where I'm walking down the hall and they're all walking into the meeting room. So I just go in and I sit down and I'm a part of the meeting. That usually happens when I don't have very much work that I'm working on right now. And so I have a little more free time, a little more flexibility, and it allows me to, one, know what they're talking about, what's going on in their space a little bit more. And the second thing it allows me to do is usually pull 1 or 2 little projects that allow me to get a better understanding of how our company works and basically how all the pieces fit together. And doing this has allowed me to get kind of a little bit of experience with the accounting department and a little bit of experience with kind of the other different departments that I would usually be more isolated from, and I wouldn't have quite as complete an understanding of what they do. And it's always something very simple, very straightforward. It's usually an Excel spreadsheet that someone's having difficulty with that I'm yeah, I could take care of that. That's exactly what my wheelhouse is. I'm really good at that. So it doesn't take me very long, and it comes off as a value added to that situation, I hope. But I don't know if I've ever walked in on the wrong meeting. Those are all on purpose. I'm in the wrong spot, but I'm there on purpose.
All right. Like I told you, these questions are just jumping off points. It's to start a conversation to have you go, oh yeah, I haven't thought about that in a while. So that's what came to mind. I appreciate you sharing. Yeah. I think I have perfected, or maybe not perfected, but I really utilize the strategic schmoozing, walking around the office, visiting with people. I know everyone's kids. I know, I'm really good at that kind of thing. And then when it comes time for promotions or projects, leadership opportunities, I come to mind because people know, like, and trust me because I've come in. I bring the attitude of I genuinely want to help and make a difference and have a positive impact. And I care about you along the way, that I feel like I'm often entrusted with those opportunities to step in and make an impact because I've asked for opportunities to make an impact and shown that I'm willing to figure it out as I go. So I probably similar. I can't think of a time that I walked in on the wrong meeting, but I've definitely joined conversations strategically to make a positive impact. I almost feel like Thomas Jefferson from Hamilton.
Yeah.
Want to be in the room where it
The
happens.
room where it happens. Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that I have to kind of do consciously because I don't think I am very good at reaching out to people unless I'm thinking about it. I think I can do it if I think about it. But as soon as I'm not thinking about that, it's just like I'm just in my office doing my Excel spreadsheets all day and I haven't talked to anybody. So it's a good thing for me to kind of branch out just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. What's the most embarrassing way you've misread a social situation?
I am positive that this has happened to me. Unfortunately, I am also positive that I never realized that it happened to me. I am not super good at reading social situations. I think I have a pretty strong opinion. I like to share that opinion pretty forcefully. And so I think a lot of times I am too domineering and too I just put my opinion out there as if it's the only option. And so I can't think of a really good example right now. I am sure if you asked my coworker, he'd have a great story.
I bet we could ask your wife and she'd have a pretty decent story too.
I'm sure she would have much better stories. Yeah.
I'm sure we could ask my wife and she'd have a story. No, but that's something that I appreciate about you, right? We balance each other. I am so aware all the time of the social cues and that I live in that space. I live in my head all the time about trying to figure out what everyone else is thinking and what the right thing to do in any particular situation is. And you generally could not be bothered.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are times where you do, but I think for the most part, you're able to just kind of breeze through the situations that I find paralyzing socially because you just could not care less about the outcome of a social situation that has no impact on your life. And I can't stop thinking about it, even though I'm aware it's not going to impact my life.
Yeah, I think that's definitely two extremes. There's definitely a middle ground that would be really nice to be able to live in all the time, but I'm not. I'm on the far end. So,
good part about balancing each other out, right, is when we're together, we usually function as two relatively well-adjusted adults.
Yeah, you can pull back and forth. Yeah.
Hey man, you got to bring it back. Hey Drew, you got to get over it. All right, this one's a little goofy. What's an odd superstition that you actually believe? A ritual, superstition, that thing that you do. So I'll share one while maybe you're thinking. So Tina and I have been married for 11 years, but I grew up watching Star Wars. And you know that thing where Obi-Wan does the two fingers and opens the door or whatever?
Yeah.
So I have done that since I was a little kid. I do the two finger. Anytime I walk up to a sliding door, like at the grocery store or whatever, I just little, right? Just by my side, just for me. I don't even.
Yeah, nice and
Tina
casual.
and I were probably married 5 or 6 years when she goes, "What was that?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I open the sliding door with the force." And so since then she notices, but I do it pretty much every time for as long as I can remember, just a little, just down by my side, just a little open the sliding door with the force. And I've done that. It's just a ritual that I have that it doesn't mean anything except that it's important to me, I guess. And
you're opening the door, you got to be able to get through.
Right. And how else is the door going to open?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't open doors with the force, but anytime I'm on a set of steps, I am counting the steps going up or down. Just, I don't know why. It just will automatically happen to my brain. I know that I live in a townhouse right now. I know that each of the sets of stairs is 13 steps. I know that the staircase up to my office at work is 37 steps. I know that the staircase of the place I worked at that was 4 stories up. Haven't worked there for 2 years now. I know it was 96 steps. I don't know why I do this, but I do every single time, going up or going down. And it does kind of bother me when it's not like a good multiple of 4 or an even number. It's got to be something with like odd number staircases. Terrible.
The lucky number 13
is
must really
rough
throw
going
you
up
trouble.
down.
It's prime. It's an unlucky number.
I don't know. So it doesn't bother me that it's unlucky. It just bothers me that it's not even or not, I don't know. Don't know what it is about it, but
at least they're the same.
Yeah,
if one of
they
them
are
was
both
11
the
and
same.
the other was 13, it might drive you nuts.
That would be much, much worse. That is true. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. We've lived in this house for a little over 2 years. I could ballpark how many stairs we have, but I would not be confident within 2.
13 for sure.
I have 13 or you have 13?
No, that would be crazy if I could remember the stairs at your house.
Well, you've been at my house.
I have been there, and I counted them. I don't remember them unless I do it often enough to remember them.
Okay. All right.
I remember all of them.
Enough for you.
Unfortunately, you have not met the minimum threshold for me to remember. I got a lot of stuff I have to remember, and I got to purge a lot of information, and steps of a random, well, not random, your house even. It's low on the priority list of things to remember.
All right. I'll give you a pass on this one.
Which I maintain is a good thing.
Probably. Don't store that information in your brain for my sake.
Not
I don't
necessary.
need it. So this one's one of my favorites. What's one of your earliest memories that you're not sure is real?
Oh man, I've got a bunch of early memories where the memory is in third person. Like literally, I can see myself as if I'm floating in a third person camera behind myself. And so I know that it must be like a memory that I've been told. And then that's why I remember it, because I was told that it happened to me. I have a memory of being really young and camping with my dad's family. One of my uncles pretending to be like an owl or something and just running away. But I see myself and I remember like I see the coat that I was wearing, like this, that blue and purple and these puff coats. And I see that and I'm this little kid running in front of my memory. Are
you an adult in your memory watching yourself, or are you also a child?
No. So I am that person. The memory is just in third person.
Okay.
So I know it's,
so you are child you thinking, feeling, you're just also watching from a different perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
It's very odd.
That's
and
fascinating.
I have quite a few of those where it's just kind of, I don't know. Like it must be the way that I think this happened is that I was told a story growing up about something I did. And so instead of remembering the actual thing, I'm like building a memory from stories that I've been told. But
which is,
I don't know,
how memories are formed, right? Is when we recall a memory, we're not actually remembering. We're reforming the memory through our current perspective again. So if you remember something 27 times, the 27th time is through your current perspective. So you're not actually remembering it like you would have 11 times ago when you were a different person. And so it is one of those weird things that memory re-saves a new draft every time you think about it. And that's such a trip to think about, that there are some of those core memories that I feel like I'm probably pretty good at keeping relatively consistent. But I know that there are stories like what you're talking about that I remember them because somebody told me and they're now in my brain. But when I recall them, I'm not sure I'm recalling the actual story or if I'm just recalling that someone told me a story.
Yeah, it does cast quite an uncomfortable shadow on the infallibility of my memory. So,
well, and as a lawyer, we study all the time about how inconsistent and unreliable eyewitnesses are. Like,
yeah, like normal people, but not me, not sure. My memories, Drew.
And that's how jurors feel, right? Jurors sit in the juror box and go, Well, if I saw someone killed in a car accident, I would remember what color shoes they were wearing. But the truth is, you truly don't. Like,
Yeah.
there's enough drugs and stress hormones and all the stuff in your system that if I got up there and I really came at you and made you commit to blue, and then someone else came up and really came at you and could get you to commit to red, unless you decided that whatever story you were telling had to be true to save your ego, not because you actually remembered it.
And that definitely is dangerous because I really want to protect my own ego. So that's an out of control spiral real quick.
Yeah. Man. Okay. What's the next wildcard question is, what's a useless life hack that you've actually tried?
Useless life hack.
One of those like TikTok life hack things or something that you're like, you know what? I'm going to try that. And then it ended up being, maybe it worked. I don't know.
Yeah, I was watching a TikTok the other day that actually I do think has shifted the way I view like pursuing short-term entertainment. Not completely, but a little bit. And so the idea, I can't remember who it was or exactly what they were saying, but the idea was that you should do things that make you into a person who you feel good about being instead of just doing things that make you feel good. Like you have this binary choice all the time where you can either do a thing that makes you feel good, like instantaneously, your short-term reward, or you can do things that more than likely are harder and more difficult, but they turn you into the person that you feel good about being. And that's like lasting change and lasting happiness. And that's how you can actually have that happiness or that reward that you're looking for with the short term, but you won't find it there long term.
Yeah. I think about the difference between happiness and joy, right? Happiness is that like serotonin release, that good feeling that you get when you're diverted by something. Whereas joy is that lasting, peace and elevated mood that you get despite what's happening around you. And it's because you're the kind of person that lives joyfully, not just seeking hedonic pleasure, right? You're not just seeking the next emotional feeling of good, that happiness, but you're the kind of person that pursues a life of meaning, a life of peace, a life of joy. And so you have that. Whereas so many of us confuse feeling good for a few minutes with the goal. But the goal's never been feel good for a few minutes. The goal has always been, or should always have been, how do I feel good even when things are hard? How do I live in my own skin and feel okay with it? And that's, that similar thing, right? I can seek diversion. I can listen to an audiobook just for fun. And that's important too, right? Just being diverted is sometimes really nice. But the harder step, and the step that I think causes more meaningful long-term change, is to embrace the slightly more difficult, I can be diverted and learn something.
Yeah.
But that's harder. That's absolutely harder than just listening to a fantasy novel, because that challenges you, forces you to grow.
Yep. So that definitely has probably shaved a couple hours of TikTok out of my life. Because it's like, this is just the short-term thing that I'm using to make myself feel happy right now, where I could, I can take this and put it into something that will make me into a person I feel happy about being.
What have you replaced it with? If you're
a bunch of different things.
If you're cutting
at work, I'm replacing it with the work I should have been doing in the first place. But like at home, I'm replacing it with like, I've played more guitar recently because it's just like, this is more fulfilling than being on my phone. And, I enjoy being a person who knows how to play guitar.
Yeah, I love that. The last wildcard question is, what's your most irrational pet peeve? That thing that bothers you even though you know it shouldn't, but it really does bother you?
I got a good one for this. This is the way that you load a dishwasher has like, there's one true way that you can load a dishwasher. And I've had to try to let that go, because the dishes do get clean when you use a variety of methods, even though there's one that is obviously the only really correct way to do it. And I don't know what it is.
If you're going to drop a hot take like that, what is it? No, you can't say I don't know what it is. You gotta
No,
commit. What's the
do know
optimal
what
way?
it is, but it does depend on your dishwasher. So I'll explain it for mine, but I could tell
Okay.
you for anybody's if I was there. So for mine, the way you do it is you load plates first on the bottom rack, starting from the far back left corner, moving towards yourself as you load all the plates. Once you're done with all the plates, you have a fluctuating amount of space on the bottom rack where you're going to put all of your bigger items. As many bigger items as you can fit, hopefully all of them, maybe not, who knows. From there, you're going to move to your top shelf and you're going to do bowls along the far side and cups along the close side. And then the middle is a little more wishy-washy. There's like utensils or more bowls, less bowls. That's kind of a flux zone a little bit there. And then the whole time you're doing this, you're picking silverware and putting them, tines down or spoon down into the silverware receptacle.
All right. You had me until tines down.
It's the right way to do it. Hotter water at the bottom.
That's fine. But if you do all the spoons facing down, then the spoons cup inside of each other and then they don't get clean.
No, you space them. You rotate them back and forth so they're not cupped.
Yeah, and then the water moves around. And
no. So I just know that there's a little bit of room there to play with the silverware. I could probably be, persuaded one way or the other. But there's absolutely no room for the plates or the bowls. Those have to be where I say they are.
Listening audience,
and I've started fights about this.
Optimization engineer, okay? A guy whose job it is to figure out the most efficient systems, and he's telling you there is, in fact, an optimal way to load a dishwasher. I would like you to share in the comments whether or not you believe there's actually an optimal way to load a dishwasher, because this is a pretty hot take.
I'll die on this hill. I'm definitely right about this one. And as someone who is paid to give my opinions about whether or not I am right, definitely right.
I'm also paid to give my opinions about whether or not I'm right, but not in an engineering field.
Yeah, not about dishwashers. Me either.
All right, David, but before we wrap up, I always like to bring it back to the theme of the show. What's one thing, big or small, that's making your life clear enough right now?
I think I like to see results and I like to have information. And so one thing that it's a snowball effect where as I start doing things, even if I didn't feel like I was ready to do something, right? It's just some small project that I've been putting off like I was talking about earlier. As I do those things, I find that I have more capability or maybe more willingness to do more things like that. And it makes me more willing to kind of put myself out there and push myself further. And so I think that starting is what helps me to keep going, which is maybe a little bit paradoxical, but as I take that first step, it kind of feeds into itself and helps me to continue.
Yeah, you can't improve something that doesn't exist yet. So you have to have something out in the ether, and then you can iterate on it. You can improve, you can get better, you can make progress, but you can't improve a blank canvas until you put something on it. Well, David, thank you so much for joining me and sharing some stories with us. Would you like to share where people can find you or follow along with what you're working on?
I don't have too much of a social media presence. I have one TikTok account that I hide on, so I don't really have anything to be shared.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us anyway, and thank you so much for listening to Clear Enough. Big thanks to David for joining me today. If you liked what you heard, tap the follow button, leave a quick review, and tell a friend. I'll see you back here next week. Bye.
See ya.